Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Did you miss me? I guess not.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting review from Delusions of Grandeur. I'm David Strege, and here I'm going to go on about my collections of the film Barton Fink. The film is from 1991, and it is directed by the Coen Brothers, Joel and Ethan Coen. Also written by them, and it stars John Turturro, John Goodman, Judy Davis, and Michael Lerner, Tony Shalhoub, Steve Buscemi, and so on and so forth. The film is about a New York playwright who, which John Turturro is the writer in which the film is kind of sort of about, but really it could be about any old Joe, you know. He's a nervous Nilly. Though he's a playwright, he is nervous, but he really feels like he knows the common man, and I want to say that he's kind of a newbie on the scene, you know. He ends up getting a contract for Capitol Pictures, and at first he's against doing this, going to California. It's obviously away from his family and whatever friends he had, and he knows no one. So when he goes into this dilapidated old hotel, he ends up hearing some noise. The room seems to be peeling, and it just kind of looks all fleshy. And you know, it kind of looks like the place is falling apart at the seams, and it's really hot in the building. And he ends up hearing some noises on both sides of the wall. The walls seem thin, and they seem to close in on him. And there's only one photograph, like, in the room of a woman on a beach, seeming to enjoy the sunshine or whatnot. So ultimately, one of the noises he ends up complaining about, and I love Steve Buscemi in this film. He is a bellhop for this old motel, and he's got a sales pitch that is really really spot on. I mean, you almost don't expect him to like say it so fast and say it so eloquently. He's got good diction, you know. And little does he know, next door lives a man that apparently passes himself off as Charlie Meadows, um, which, as the film progresses, Charlie Meadows is played by John Goodman, and they, in a sense, he complains about him. He comes over. He asks if he's the one who complains, and that's how he kind of involves him in Charlie's life. And Charlie tells him that he's a salesman, and he comes in unannounced several times over the course of the film. And it is only later that we find out by two detectives that he is, in fact, a serial killer called Mad Mad something or other. And it ends up being kind of a horror film as well as a drama. I know that a lot of my friends around me love anything to do with the Coen brothers, and I know that these films seem to be widely accepted by the artsy fartsies that are out there. I don't consider myself an artsy fartsy, but I consider myself kind of in the middle, because I feel like I have an opinion, and though some of my opinions were started off as like biasism, because of my putting these films on a pedestal and then realizing that there are other people who have different opinions. And I mean, there's the person who owns Capital Pictures by the name of Jack Lipnick, and Michael Lerner. He plays him to a fucking T. I mean, he is kissing his ass as he's going along, and evidently, the Coen brothers had actually been working on Miller's Crossing or something like that, and gotten a case of writer's block, and that's kind of what they kind of interpreted in this, and they came up with this the script for this film, I think, in a matter of like 6 weeks or so, and that's exactly what Barton Fink has. He has a case of writer's block, so he ends up having to try to. So he tells this Tony Shalhoub character, Ben Geisler, that he's having a hard time coming up with an idea for this wrestling picture that he's been tasked to do, and the problem is he's kind of trying to make it his own story, and he doesn't have any background or any experience doing any of the wrestling pictures, and he really believes in his writing, and he's not inspired by anything dealing with wrestling. So he ends up running into a real writer by the name of W.P. Mayhew and his somewhat either fiance or girlfriend or muse, and he ends up kind of in the middle of a social thing where he's got no ideas, and he's floating on someone else's ideas, and when he finally ends up writing his script, he's told that it's a mediocre script and he wants more action. And he basically is like, hey, since we got you you contracted, we're gonna give you whatever shit, you know. But meanwhile, while all of this is going on, I mean, we've got Charlie Meadows, who evidently is a serial killer. But before that, before we find that out, I mean, the Muse, uh, the woman that is played by Judy Davis, which is Audrey Taylor, she's that Southern belle. Well, why don't you come by for some lemonade and tea? You know, Audrey Taylor, and she ends up coming over and supposedly sleeping with Barton Fink, and what's supposed to be helping him. And he wakes up and she's kind of a bloody mess and she's dead. So he ends up being in the middle of a murder. And Charlie comes and cleans it up. And he says he's leaving the next day. Of course, Barton Fink, being real friendly with Charlie Meadows, he ends up telling him all about his whole family and stuff, and tells him to go visit them when they're in New York. And I don't know. I feel like this film is odd and strange. I like bits and pieces of it. I like the acting in some of it, but I find it really strange. I'm not sure whether I like it or hate it, but there is a moment where I really, really like the fact where John Goodman's got this shotgun and he's like coming down towards the detectives, and fire is breathing behind him, and just the way that looks. And I know that my friends, they say that a lot of the old hotel, reminds them of the Overlook. Well, it doesn't really remind me of the Overlook, and I know that it's been said that this film is very Kubrick-like. Well, I'm not a fan of Kubrick. Not like these artsy-fartsy people out there. There's a specific art crowd that tends to like a specific kind of film, and I don't consider myself part of that artsy crowd just yet. You know, I'm not a avid die-hard. Let's put this on a pedestal to heaven for every film that doesn't fit the norm. You know, I'm just not. I mean, some people just like films because they don't fit the normal structure. Well, that doesn't make a film good. It just makes a film watchable. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I felt that it was shot really well. It had an interesting cast of actors. I'm not exactly if this was even a full expression of the film. It was more of an impression in a slice of life film than it was a total story. And I guess it was kind of like how Hollywood really is. I mean, it's not all it's cooked up to be. But in any case, those are my thoughts, and whether you hate or love my impression of this film, I suggest that you at least go ahead and watch it. It's not that I totally hated it, and it's not that I totally loved it. I'm kind of neutral on the film. But I am glad that I finally did see the film. I've heard a lot of hype about it. It may not be as hyped up as it is, but it's not a totally blundering bad film either. So it's in the middle, and it's an oddball. So let me know down in the comments whether you enjoyed the film or not, and let me know what your thoughts were. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Appreciate your time here spent on my page, and definitely check out some of my other reviews. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?